Hello there. Right, well, welcome to a series of videos showing you the practicals that would have been done had this still been a course where you were working in college. This one is showing you correct technique for working with live microorganisms safely. It's how we do things in a microbiology lab, so I accept that the professional standards for working in a clean room might be slightly different, but the basics should be the same. Right, so the first thing we do, obviously, before working in a lab with live microorganisms is to tie our hair back, put on a lab coat, which ideally should be sterile, but hey, the idea being at least it is somewhat cleaner than your street clothes, and at least it will stop you contaminating your street clothes. We should also wash our hands with antimicrobial soap and use some hand gel, which I've done just before starting the camera, because it's not very interesting to watch that. Right, okay, so what do we do? Well, normally before working with live microorganisms in a lab, the first thing we do is wipe down the table with some disinfectant. Again, we're aiming to avoid contaminating the cultures as much as anything else in a microbiology lab, but obviously if you were trying to work in a sterile way, same sort of thing would apply. Now, the next thing we normally do is to light a Bunsen burner. So, a Bunsen burner, how shall we have that? Let's have it there. You can see that, can't you? It's to light a Bunsen burner. Okay, we'll do that. Obviously safety specs for a Bunsen burner. Behave. Right, okie dokes. So I'll now get the various pieces of equipment that I need. But the first thing I must always do is check that I have disinfectant and a Bunsen burner. Both of these, of course, can be used to kill microorganisms. Okay, so let me collect the various things I'll need for this practical. Away. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to demonstrate how to spread bacterial culture all over an agar plate. So this agar is basically it's veggie gel. It has mixed with it suitable food for bacteria. Now, before I ever add a bacterial culture to anything, the first thing I should do is label it. I should label it with my name so that other researchers in the lab know who is responsible for this culture. If I know what bacteria I've got, I should write the name of the bacteria so people know what the risk is. So I'm going to write sterile, and you'll see why in a minute, and I should write the date so that people know whether or not I've forgotten all about these cultures and been away for a week. And as you, I hope, can see, you write round the edge, not right across the middle, otherwise when you get your plates back, you won't be able to see the bacteria, just the ink. You also write on the side with jelly on, because obviously lids can get swapped around. And you write before you add your culture to the plate, so you don't write the wrong thing afterwards. Now, we move all these things to a convenient place. And here's my plate, and I always work near a Bunsen burner. The theory in the textbook is the Bunsen is lit, hot air is rising. That means cool air isn't sinking down and scattering bacteria all over your work. How true that is, I've never been convinced. There was another video about that. Right, okay, so here's my bacterial culture. If it was a real bacterial culture like this one, I would give it a shake first. What I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to spread some sterile water instead. This is what I would have got you to do first. The idea being you're going to put sterile water on your plate, and if you do it right, obviously nothing grows, and when you get your plate back next week, it looks exactly like this. Nothing growing on it. If you do it wrong, then obviously there's bacteria everywhere. I didn't do that right. So, let's go. How shall I do this? Well, obviously I need a sterile pipette. They come sterile in their packaging, and I need to use that to suck up my water. Right? Okay. There's a problem here, of course, which is that I need to get the lid off my bottle, and there's a very strict rule. We don't put down the lid because it can get contaminated, and we never put down a bottle of open culture because it's so easy just to knock it over. So therefore, as long as the bottle's open, I have to hold the lid and the bottle and of course the pipette. There is a way of doing this. Basically, the idea is when you are opening a bottle, you hold the bottle in your non-writing hand, you hold the pipette normally, like you normally would. I don't know why when people start doing microbiology, I see them holding the pipette like this. No, just hold the pipette normally, and then to open the bottle, what you need to do is you need to wrap the pinky of the hand that's holding the pipette round the bottle. You turn the bottle, not the lid, because if you turn the lid, you'll poke yourself in the eye with the pipette. Okay, so we turn the bottle, and then before we ever take a sample from a glass bottle, we just pass the neck through the flame to kill any bacteria around the neck, just in case we accidentally touch the neck of the bottle. Right, so I will demonstrate that. I have my plate. It is close to my Bunsen burner. I have my bottle that I'm going to put the contents of in the plate, and I have my pipette. Right, so I'll open the packaging. Obviously I can touch this end of the pipette because it's not going anywhere near the culture. I need, of course, to be very careful not to contaminate the pipette by touching it to anything. Once I've taken it out of the wrapping, I hold my bottle, I turn the bottle, I don't put it down, I don't put the lid down, I flame the bottle, I remove the required amount, which in this case I'm going to take 0.2 millilitres. Before I put the lid back on, I flame the bottle again. Put it down. Put it down once I've got the lid on it. Then I go to my plate and working near my Bunsen, I don't take the lid right off. I hold it over so that things don't drop in. And then obviously the pipette goes straight in the disinfectant, because you can't sterilise plastic pipettes in any other way than with disinfectant. I now need to spread this material all over the plate. So I do this with a sterile spreader. Again, in theory, they're sterile while they're in the pack, but they come in fives. How sterile a pack is when your hands have been in it once, I don't know. And I spread the bacterial culture to every corner of the plate, and again, spreader straight in the disinfectant. You can get glass spreaders that you dip in ethanol and flame them to kill the bacteria. So there is my plate. I've spread it with liquid. For safety, I immediately need to tape the lid of the plate on with sellotape in case I drop it. I use 2 pieces of sellotape, one here and one here. I don't tape it all the way around, otherwise the air can't get in and the poor little bacteria will suffocate. Also, if you grow stuff anaerobically, it's more likely you've grown something dangerous. And then I put this in a tray to go in the incubator, and I put it jelly side up, because if you put it the other way up with the lid side up, when it's in the incubator, moisture tends to evaporate off the jelly, condense on the lid, and then drip down all over your culture and spoil it. So jelly side up when you put it in the tray to go in the incubator. Now the other way of transferring bacteria to a plate is with a wire loop that you just dip in the bacteria. So I will demonstrate the use of that now. I will again label my plate, just bear with me. This time I'm going to use real bacteria, call them luteus, and I will again put the date. I start making a video and every man with a pneumatic drill in the building starts up. However, I'm sure you can still hear me. Right, now to sterilise anything made of metal, like a wire loop, I don't use disinfectant because it rusts them, I use a Bunsen flame. The rule is yellow Bunsen flame to pass glass through, blue Bunsen flame for metal. Now a blue Bunsen will crack glass. So I pass my loop through and then I just let it cool next to the safety flame for a few seconds, probably longer than I'm doing in this video, but I hold it near the flame again because of this theory that the flame stops bacteria dropping down. Give my culture a shake because the bacteria do tend to drop to the bottom, and now I'm going to dip my loop in this and put the bacteria on the plate. So again, I never put down an open culture, dip the loop, flame the bottle, lid back on, put the plate where you can see. Again, I don't take the lid off. You need to be really gentle when you're using wire loops on agar because it's really soft, like the jelly you eat at children's party. I'm just sort of rubbing at random, and then of course I mustn't put this down until I've sterilised it again because I've just covered it in bacteria. So once more I need to put it in the flame until it's red hot to make sure obviously that there's no bacteria on it before I put it down on the table. And then again take my plate with 2 pieces of sellotape straight away. So the lid can't escape, jelly side up in the tray. So that's basically what I normally get students to do. First lesson, I get them to, first of all, to check using sterile water that they are indeed working in a sterile way, and then I get them to use a loop to actually transfer bacteria to a plate. Right, so I came in earlier this week and did this. Let's see what my results are like. I'm sure you'll be disappointed to see that the plate on which I put the sterile water, there we are, not so much reflection like that, has nothing on it. It's still sterile. There are no obvious bacteria growing on it. This one, where I streaked the M. luteus, I hope you can see that, no, where's the M. luteus? There it is. But in this area here, you can see an obvious growth of bacteria. This is a yellow bacterium, so it stands out quite well. So this has worked. I have succeeded in putting bacteria on here correctly. I have avoided contaminating this plate. Right, thank you very much. I will see you in the next video. Bye.